Hello, everybody. This is Liz Flo, and with everything that's going on, take some time to self-care and stay away from anybody who may be more susceptible to the virus. And after you rest, dear creatives, maybe, just maybe, you can reconnect with some of the stuff you had on the back burner. Who have to be out and about, please be careful, wash your hands, and may we all stay calm. In this episode, I have a really great guest, and we're talking intimacy, astrology, sex growth, all kinds of great stuff. So please enjoy the episode. I'm not really sure what kind of language we have, so, just grown-ups. Enjoy the episode. Pablio se magie. Do not forget that you are magic. No te olvides que eres magia. Have a great week. Welcome to Creatively Exposed, a conversation for creatives, introverts, sapiosexuals, and all of the people entertained and who love us. I am Liz Flo, the podcast host, poet, writer, and overall Afro-Caribbean Latina creative. I know that is a mouthful, but welcome to the show. Welcome to Creatively Exposed, and today I am totally fangirling because I have one of my favorite content creators on. She goes by Six, and let the people know who you are.
Hi everyone, I'm Six. I am an intimacy doula and a sex astrologer, which is pretty cool because it's a lot less sex than people think. I'm a writer. I write horoscopes, I content create, and secretly I write poetry. Secretly though.
Secretly? Will
Very
you ever
secretly.
let it out? All right. Any kind of specific poetry or a little bit of everything?
I've been writing since I was 8, so I think that now a lot of the poetry that I write is prose, but I've done haikus, I've done variations of poetry, more flowery poetry, but I think while controversial, Rupi Kaur kind of gave me permission to not shy to write in any particular style or feel like I had to have a style.
That's really dope. I write poetry as well, and I kind of just go with what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So I know that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing your secret.
Of course.
So I totally love your horoscopes. I love your videos. Like, where did it all come from?
Oh gosh. Okay, let's see. So, oh my gosh, I'm a Sagittarius, so it's going to be a story.
This makes sense. Okay. Go ahead.
So I just was at a really low place. I had graduated grad school and I was in my dream job. I was living in Midtown Manhattan. Like, objectively, everything was really good, except for I was just in this dark place. And I think it's because I had suppressed a lot. And I was carrying on years of not just like my own trauma, but probably generational trauma that I wasn't really aware of. And then it just got to a place where it's like there was no getting better. It was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it was one of those things where even though I kind of hit a lot of like standards, like I went to an Ivy League school, I was working in a very prestigious job, I was in a luxury apartment, like it was just a really good life. There was nothing more that I wanted than to just not be there anymore. And I just, it was kind of through that, and in combination with I was in like a kind of abusive of a relationship too, that I started to realize something was wrong. Something didn't feel right. And that's when I started to kind of come across astrology, and I started learning about how it was this social tool to help you kind of understand yourself and others. And I have a very obsessive personality, so I spent like hours and hours obsessively learning about it. And I knew about it before because it was popular in my family, but I wasn't as in-depth with it. And so then the more I learned about astrology, the more I started to learn about myself, and I started to find the permission to be myself, because I started to feel like if the universe says that I am intense and I am weird and I'm all these things, it started to make me feel like those things weren't objectively bad things. They were just things. So then the sex astrology came in when I was having problems actually in another relationship I ended up getting into. And one of my friends was like, okay, like this is how you do it. And I'm like, wait, hold up. Is there a correlation between sex and astrology? And then I ended up finding it, and I started building my popularity from there. And then I started realizing that, I actually studied under a sex therapist, and I've taken classes on human sexuality. So I've always wanted to be a sex therapist. But the thing is, I think, good sex professional will tell you sometimes the issues that pop up in sex pop up because there are deeper issues that don't even necessarily relate to sex. So then I started realizing the power of intimacy, and not just being intimate with others and being intimate with yourself. And then that's where the videos and more of the content started coming in, because Black Women Cry has kind of been this project that I've been using to unpack myself and force myself to see me, and then grow a new appreciation and a deeper relationship with myself.
And why Black Women Cry?
So I feel like I confuse people all the time with this one. I personally identify as gender fluid, but I guess like growing up, being Black and socially conditioned to be female, to be woman, there's been so many times where I've cried and I don't think anyone took it seriously. Like, it's like when you're a child, they're crocodile tears. The older you get, you don't, the space for your tears isn't really held. People think that you just need to suck it up. And then those tears, like, it becomes this cognitive dissonance of, do I express anger and be like stereotyped as an angry Black person, or do I express sadness and be forced to sit with the fact that nobody really cares that much?
I 100% can identify.
So then Black Women Cry was created because it's a fact. Like, we cry, we have pain, and it's like, I feel like in this society we are it's almost like we feel the toxic masculinity in a very different way, and that's where the conversation around misogynoir happens. But it's like people not taking our feelings seriously, people not holding space for our tears. And I just kind of wanted Black people, Black femme, Black women to know that my space is your space, and we can all cry together. If nobody else is going to hold you, like, here I am.
I absolutely appreciate and love that.
Thank you.
Because it's true. Yeah, I can completely identify with everything you just said. And I'm even actually learning to be okay with my tears. So I feel this. And so you do write different things. I've seen that you have been published in different articles and different things. Is it all intimacy related, astrology, or is it just a mix of everything?
So the stuff that I write publicly is all astrology related. Sometimes I do write intimacy like content. Like, I recently did a piece for Unbound Babes about how each sign goes about intimacy and expresses intimacy. I've written for my horoscopes for Clona Willie. I try to make them self-care horoscopes. Like, I can give predictions, but like the universe is always changing and flowing and molding. So yes, I do give predictions, but I really just try to use the horoscopes to be guides for people to kind of figure out what to do, which is what I think horoscopes should do anyway. Sometimes I write fun stuff. Like I'm the astrologer at Nerdist, so every once in a while I write stuff that's like for just entertainment.
And how long have you been into, well, let's go back. So intimacy doulaship, break that down a little bit for me.
So doula is just someone, or like in the way that we think about doula is birthing and like helping someone through that process, in a lot of ways being not like a friend, a guide. For me, being an intimacy doula is similar, except for we're not talking about like the birthing process of having a child, but we're quite literally talking about giving yourself the permission to see yourself. I think a lot of people, it's like, depending on what your sign, this might be expressed differently, but let's say you're an earth sign. I feel like earth sign people, they may have a feeling and then they may not think that that feeling is practical or logical. So then they push that feeling aside. And maybe it's because the thing is, like, astrology doesn't make you be born, you're an earth sign and you just put your feelings aside. It's we go through life and then these are the lessons we internalize. So then it's like you have to then stop and really recount and almost to some extent regress back to remember where you got these ideas from. So I have a background in mental health. I have a bachelor's in psychology and minored in biology, and then I have a master's in social work and specialize in contemporary social issues. So while my sessions are not therapy, I do try to, I do find them
they're therapeutic.
Exactly. They can be very therapeutic in nature because I do like to use practices like motivational interviewing and even like some CBT. Like I'm, again, not trying to do those practices on people, but you know, through having that background, I've learned how to ask people questions and then learned how to also motivate them to understand, like, okay, what do you really want and where did these ideas come from? And I think when you actually live life, like people try to forget their childhood. Like people sometimes try to forget like what they did yesterday and how these things made them feel. And I think in my sessions, I try to bring people back to a place where it's like, no. We're going to look at you and we're going to sit with you. And sometimes that means crying and expressing and unpacking. And that's intimacy.
That is so funny because that's exactly where I am. You went from earth sign to breaking it all down. And I'm like, okay, yes, this is me. This is all of me. And that's exactly where I'm at. So
and
I
it's
know.
Heavy. It is heavy to unpack all of that.
Especially if you've been suppressing it and you didn't realize you suppressed it. And so you crack and you're like, oh, this is here. I have to take care of this now.
Yeah, so I think it's really easy to, you know, like, I think all animals, it's like really like our main objective is survival. And then to be able, like, not everybody's going to want to reproduce, but like as a species for our survival, it is literally just surviving and reproducing, then dying off. And I think, you know, while that's like kind of all we really have to do from a biological perspective, just to keep the human race going on, it's like, there's a lot that goes on in between. And I think sometimes we try to numb that out because it all hurts and we try to do the one thing that we're supposed to do, and you can't numb everything out.
Yeah, but most times they'll just explode in your face a little later and you're like, oh, I gotta go back and reopen all of this stuff so it can heal.
And I think there's something, you know, this might sound weird, but I think that one thing that I've been teaching myself to make this like healing process easier, especially being a Sagittarius, I'm trying to find the fun in it.
Okay.
Like I feel like there's something, you know, like sometimes you really have, like I have like friends who like, we're just sit down and unpack our trauma, like unpack real dark things. And then we just have to laugh like, wow, this is really how humans think. This is really what we be doing.
That's really interesting. It's true because I think healing has become this whole like huge, heavy, big thing, and it's